Good morning. I'd say that's what time it is, but unfortunately I don't know what time it is, so I look at my Star Wars one instead. So that's what time it is. Oh, watch out, he's got a gun, he's shooting at me. Right. Motor, speed controller, receiver, battery for the motor and the speed controller, batteries for the receiver, and the servo for the steering mechanism. Now they're all loosely placed in position inside this model boat that I've built, and I've got to basically get swimming pool all prepped ready, and then I'm going to put that as it is, all loose in water, and we've got to figure out, is that going to be right, is that going to balance right? So I'll position it all like that, and then I'll put the lid on just like that with everything loose on the inside of it, and I think that don't work right. Right. So you think that that's going to be right wherever that is, and something is obstructing that. So what's obstructing that? And then you find out it never works right. Could be servo that's in the wrong place. So servo, for instance, might have to go, move battery over there a little bit, and you have to move the servo into a different position. It could lay on its side, and arm could be pointing upwards. So when you're doing this sort of stuff, you've got to move things around, shuffle them around, see where it fits best. But wherever it goes, it's got to go, you know, it's got to be put there and it's got to stay there. So if it's closer to that and that like that, see if it'll fit in there. Because then the push rod will be able to reach that push rod. If it turns it around that way around, you know, whatever it goes, it's got to be able to fit in, even if it's that way around. And if you stick it down that way around, that's easier, and I just move the push rod up and then just pushes it across. So I'll probably stick it down like that actually, or like that, you know, because it's so much easier. To a bigger expanse of sticky tape will allow it to do what it does. So that one would probably go there, and the battery pack would probably come back over this side. So we've got to get it just right so that we can balance it. And in this case, with that little tool, all I need is a bit of wire, you know, a bit of electrical wire, and it'll just go straight through there. Standard 2.5mm electrical wire. Could even leave a sleeve on it as well, and then I just stick it through that and tighten it up with a grub screw, because it's a little Allen key screw on that one, and I just have to adjust the position of the arm so it's directly up and down. So it's a bit like, let's just twist it a little bit, so it's like that. And you think, well, that might bang into that, mightn't it? So if I spin it around that way around, then you realise that's definitely going to be needing to be adjusted, that positioning. So that way would be that way around, perhaps. Sticky side a bit with the side, but I've got to find a place for the batteries. I've got to make sure that all of this top bit goes on. That's a seat for my minion. You've made a seat for the minion. You've got a back. Alright, camera pointing in the wrong place there. So that's my seat for my minion, wherever he is. There he is. So my minion goes on there like that. So now he's got a backrest. That's a lollipop sticks. I'll stick my minion back up there. I'm going to be jabba the minion in my swimming pool in a minute, because I'll be getting into the swimming pool. But that looks like that's a pretty good location approximately for those to be put in. Now, basing it on what I've just realised, that one might be better over there. That one. If I flip that, spin it around like that, and spin it around like that way around. So then with battery and that can be sort of central, and then that's sort of in right sort of position, and that just needs adjusting on the actual cog. So with this problem, you're getting a screwdriver onto the end of the servo so that the servo is pointing correctly before you stick it in. Because if you stick it in first, then you can't get a screwdriver in to do adjustments. You can't get Allen keying on it either. So that's what real problems is. Now if you were to move it over there, then you might be able to get in to the cogs and stuff to do it. It might be easier that way around, but you've got to be mindful about length of your wire. Your wire might not be correct, you know, you might just pull things around. Whatever it is you're doing when you're making these models, it takes time out of your life. And at the moment, with me not being in any form of employment, it's something to continue doing and something to share with viewers of YouTube, and something to share with young'un when he gets fed up of playing on PlayStation, or when the PlayStation burns itself out. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's going to burn out. I'm not going to be able to fix it. That'll be 500 quid that we wasted on a games console, plus all the other membership subscriptions that we paid for, that we've got absolutely nothing out of whatsoever, apart from seeing my son sat there vegetating, getting fatter and fatter. You know what I mean? Everybody's in this same situation. When a new bit of technology comes out, it's either a drone and they'll start messing around with drones, or they start messing around with radio controls, cars and stuff. You've got to think about all the time it takes, because I've still got to fix the focus. That means if I were doing delivery driving, then I can't get to work, and I wouldn't have earned enough money to buy a brand new car. It self-cancelled itself out, and then you'd have found yourself having to sell all your old electronic stuff like I did first time around. I started building my Knight Rider, and I thought that's gonna sell me, that's gonna, you know, gonna make some money for me. But it don't. It just turns out to be that real depressing reality thing. So it goes from that to the Sutcliffe boat. Now Peter Sutcliffe did not make this boat, but it's certainly got his name on it. I had one of them originally. We bought it from Cleethorpes in the 1970s. Me, Samantha and her mum and my mum and dad went to Cleethorpes, probably on train, and I had one of them. I also had the submarine as well, the Under Wonder. Very good little toys. I got this one quite cheap because it didn't have original cage on it. So I'm going to have a play with that in my thingy, in my water. My wife and kids come up, fantastic. But my idea of still getting that sorted out is still there, and at the moment we're just discussing buying another shed, but putting it behind garage. Idea's already been sketched down in that sort of area where washing pole is, and a washing pole moves up temporarily, because then we'd end up sorting that new shed out and then transferring all the stuff out of the old shed into that one, and then I've got to start disassembling that entire shed. And I'm telling you that I've got to do it because we can't afford to employ anybody else. So you'll be in the same situation. You won't be able to afford to do it. This is the way to explain it to you before before you start even thinking about it. You've got to plan it out. It took all this time to get right up to this area. Now you think of that pop group. I keep showing you different pop groups on that on internet. One's called Nickelback. Well, in this area was a nickel silver spoon. Nickelback garden, silver spoon, and you could have had butter moon. You know what I mean? Butter moon, silver spoon. This house used to be a rental property many years ago, and this house from where them bushes are right up here were just total jungle, and from them right down were total jungle. Me and the wife worked it. We managed to get all shrubland cut down, and then I was able to erect a flat area, which became the deck area, out of scaffold boards, which cost a fair amount of money, and then a 600 quid shed went straight on top of it. The day that went on, the day after, somebody broke into it, literally took the fucking hinges off, and then went down Sid's garden and fucking tracks led straight to his back garden, right straight to his back door. It was almost like Sid had been doing it, but there was no proof. But the tracks went straight down to his door, and even knocked on the door. And I said, "Have you seen anybody breaking into my shed, Sid?" No. I said, "Well, it's funny because all footsteps, all dirty foot tracks lead to your back door, Sid." I even told him to his face. And then it never happened again because I put these big panels on either side of it and fenced it out. But now it's all starting to rot away. So when it all goes down, I'm going to have to build a fence of some description. But that were a long time ago. I built it all up, got all arms in it and everything. And here we are. At the moment I am still trickle charging a rebuilt battery pack with a 7.2 volt Tamiya battery. You know, because that's the Tamiya battery in there. Well, that's the Tamiya battery charger, 6 volt, 7.2 volt one. That's 7.2 volt. And that one's a 6 volt one, and I've got a 6 volt trickle charger as well. All this sort of stuff is old out, and people are selling it very cheaply. So I suggest, if you're into models, get them bought. Give them the money, because they're the people on the up and up, and we're the people on the down and down. We started with these years ago, and thanks to Young'un, our Young'un will be next fucking delivery driver, you know what I mean? When he's learned how to drive, we've got to sort of get our little act together. We've got to get little things sorted out. I've got to figure out, is it cheaper to buy 2 new wings and put them on, rather than me repairing them wings on that Ford Focus? Time, effort, materials, danger to my skin and my hands, and I'm getting old. If I'd had it written down in front of me, I'd been gone dink dank do. That'll be what I'm having. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So it's a case of get what you need. They're not all the same cars. If they're all the same cars, I'd have been taking it off of one and putting it on other. Every one of them's depending on somebody else in scrap yards, in parts places to bring up parts in. Now, I was thinking about the fact that all these guys around me are having all these extensions done, and all waste materials going in a skip, and the skip goes away, and it costs him a load of money. Now, if I suggested something, you'd probably make some money out of it, or save some money out of it for everybody, because the idea is written down, it's in my books already, and it's about somebody else with a plot of land local to us, you know, like that old school that's shut down on Bortred Wood. Put a load of skips in there that are full of material that people, so basically the lorry driver picks up the waste material, and then he decides if there's out in it that they can save, like doors and house bricks, or window frames, insulation, all that sort of stuff. If it's got some good stuff in it and it don't want to go to tip, they take it to that plot of land, wherever the plot of land is. So then, so there's the skip full of stuff, or there's the plot of land full of stuff. Then he takes the skip and he puts that in that plot of land, and then he picks up an empty, a skip, well, not an empty skip, but a skip that's not as full, and he takes that to the actual recycling place, wherever he goes, because that's the skip. So it goes to the recycling place. Usually they had to take all the lot to there, and it would cost him twice as much. But now all he does is drive it to that plot of land and exchanges it for that one. It goes to that plot of land. Then, because we can't go anywhere near that, because that's their facility, and it costs him money to get shut and all that stuff. Whereas if he drives to that land, he can dump it there, and it don't cost him anything. And then you've got the man on the gate, whoever the man on the gate is, and he just says, yeah, come in, lad, that's, put your skip there, take that skip with you, come back in a week or come back in a day or two. Meanwhile, then everybody, all Joe public, go past and say, oh, that's all right, I can have that. And then they're driving with the cars, don't they? So they're driving with the cars, and you think, well, I like that big piece of wood, I'll have that, oh, I like that bit of insulation. And then they drive away and go back to wherever they go. That then lightens that. Meanwhile, you've got all your bricks and all the rest of the stuff in there. Then your next Joe public comes in. Oh, I like them bricks, I'll have them bricks. So then he finishes through all it skips, and then he gets all bricks, and then he drives away, and it don't cost him anything at all. Completely free. The only thing he has to pay for is his fuel. The man there has a charity box, and if he feels like paying him, put some money in charity box. That skip gets lighter and lighter and lighter. Then the skip driver comes back down with another skip full of stuff. Then he drops the skip off in the same area, and he picks his skip up and he takes his skip away. So he takes his skip away to the very same people that usually takes it to, but it costs him less to dispose of it because it is lighter, it has got less material in it, and then you've got that customer happy because he's got that customer happy because he's got that, and then you've got your builders merchants happy because they have had to order less of that material, and therefore it is better for the bank manager and it's better for the environment because he's got his car and he's had to pay for it all. Looks like I am. He's got his car, or she's got her car and she's had to pay for it with keys and all the rest of it, but they got that stuff to build a project like this because they're reclaimed bricks and cheap wood. No, window frames, there's them going in skip all the time. People could have got that and built the frame to the size of the windows. And then you'd have had your summer house at the top of your garden, or your summer shed, and all you have to do is just make another word up, another name for it as you're going home. And it'd be better for the environment because one, he'd get his skip back. So that's 2 skips. And you see how that's not a skip, and that's not a skip. And you got them all back. And the only thing you needed to do was take it to them other customers. Of course, that would have been a customer. And that would have been a customer. And then you took that skip to that customer, and that skip to that customer. And then them customers would have put some other rubbish in them skips. And eventually, that skip would have gone somewhere else. That one would have gone there. And they'd have returned to the same plot of land. And it becomes a rate of decay. Or state of decay. And those customers would have been benefiting from the skip company doing it that way around. But then the other customers would have come along. And then you'd had to find another explanation for another customer. So then another customer comes in, says, oh, there's to be more than just one skip. That customer comes in and says, well, I like that. Whatever that is in that skip that they've thrown away. And then that one goes away with that. You know what I mean? And all it is the volunteer volunteering the idea to you, the volunteer or the relative running that organisation for you. And then the other customer comes in and says, oh, I like that one. Parks over there, and he takes out what he wants to take out. And then he goes away happy. Because that could be bricks, windows, wood, sterling board, plasterboard, big long bits of wood, big piece of metal, anything that you, the creative person, can actually put your hand to. What you can put your hand to. You know, because then you'd be the one that's creating it. You'd be the one benefiting mentally, benefiting from having created it, and you'd have been helping environment, because it wouldn't have gone to landfill, it wouldn't have gone to incendiary people, it would have saved the taxpayer a lot of money. And it might sound like bullshit, but in reality, without your sticky tape, you can't make your servo stick in your boat. But without your boat, your minion with his diving goggles on, wouldn't have been able to go on a boat and go sailing wherever he wanted to go sailing. Because you could have even made a boat out of recycled material, and those things were only £1.50 each. And we can't physically go to a commercial recycling centre and pick up stuff that we want. We can't go to a tip and take out the stuff out at tip. And at the moment we're all going to car boots and Sunday markets and that to get a bargain. But if you extended it to something that was running all week, like that, what I've just been talking about, the skip lorry people, then it's all down to them getting their heads together. Recycle material, metal. I melted some aluminium down before I found out about CF bulk going dark pan. See, I melted it down out of tin cans. And the reason I did it, I thought, well, I seen it on Facebook, I'll give it a whirl. And then I realised, if I had a metal lathe, they're blanks. You can't get blank stock from Wicks. It's all milled down to, and it costs a load of money. But if you don't want it to be milled down smooth and you want it to be rough and textured, see, they'd make a bloody good door handle, them. They might be rough and that, but you can grind it all down and turn it into something interesting. And all it is each piece of bit of melted down aluminium that's unique, and it'll make a bloody good door handle or a good weight for a weighing scale. But it is like Le Corbusier with these different sorts of measurements. You know, because if you learn about Le Corbusier, it'll teach you about measurements. And it's not in millimetres, and it's not in centimetres, and it's not in picas, it's not in points, it's not in pixels or sprites. It's in the human scale. It is based on the chair that he would have designed and made would look similar, but it would be different. It would be a different scale, and it would have been based on the customer. And that's why he formed it in concrete, the Superman figure. That's basically Superman. Sailing with the rich people out there. And he died in Mediterranean. Well, I've been at Mediterranean twice and I'm still here. That's all I can say. I'm still here and I still understand that idea. Because I've been reading up on it. So it's to work with recycling centres as well as just making boats. Because you could have gone down to a recycling place and got that wood for absolutely nothing at all. And I'd have saved £5. You know what I mean? Works with electronics too. Could have done it. You could have got a television and got a working telly or a working VCR out of scraps. But you'd have had to invest your time on Earth. Is it worth your time on Earth? Trying to save the Earth? Or am I just talking to phone? And that's what time it is, look. And then if you were Back to the Future, you'd have given you that book. It says, look what you can achieve. And that'll have been Jawas. With Jawa Transporter. It might be Jawa boat, mightn't it? Jabba's sail barge. You know what I mean? Who knows? Mandalorian. Man and a DeLorean.